Have you ever wondered why we do things that we do in Chinese festivals in Singapore, or maybe where do they come from? Well, many of the things we do actually have predominantly Hokkien roots.
The Hokkein culture in Singapore is one filled with colour, superstition, and a whole array of festivals and practices that has made Singapore into what we are today. In fact, around 40% of our Chinese population in Singapore is Hokkien. Many things that derive from Hokkiens have also integrated into our way of lives, things that we do every day, but are unsure why we do so. So, what is the significance of Hokkien culture in our lives? How does a Hokkien culture have any relevance? We will be exploring a few ways in which the Hokkien community have made massive contributions and how their contributions have shaped the way in which we live our lives.
Hence, let us tell you about the Hokkien culture that you most likely do not know about. We will begin with Chinese New Year, a festival that everyone knows of, a festival that is celebrated by all Chinese to welcome the new year ahead. Chinese New Year is a time where families get together during the reunion dinner and catch up with one another. It is usually celebrated through lion and dragon dance performances, as well as the exchange of oranges and red packets. But how many of us know that some of the Chinese New Year practices are actually derived from a Hokkien culture, the Jade Emperor Festival? The Jade Emperor in Hokkien culture, tradition, religions, and myth is one of the representations of the first god. During the Jade Emperor Festival, people will set up altars, offering sugarcane and pineapple to the Jade Emperor. During a recent interview with Dr. Koh Chin Yi, the vice chairman of the Singapore Hokkien Hui Guan, he stated that these practices have slowly infused into the Singapore practice as altars are a common sight in Singapore.
You will see that in traditional Hokkien rituals, especially rituals in religion and beliefs, there's always food for offering. You will see that it is always that few types of food you cannot substitute. So it becomes a standard that when you pray at this occasion, the menu must be from this set. For instance, if your set of menu you have 12 dishes, then you can offer 5, you can offer 7, or you can offer 6, you can offer 8. But you cannot offer, say, 6 plus 2 from somewhere else. Crab, pig trotter, you must have
Sugarcane.
Hence, common Chinese practices in Singapore, such as the setting of altars and offerings, are derived from the Hokkien culture. Next, we'll be looking into the common provision shops in Singapore, also known as the 杂货店.
Provision shops, or the Chap He Tiam, are a common sight in Singapore, and many of us grew up with them in the background of our lives. As children, these provision shops bring back fond memories of warmth and togetherness, and we remember these provision shops as something uniquely Singaporean. But what people do not know is that they were once a uniquely Hokkien thing too, having been established by the Hokkien migrants in Singapore. In the 1800s, many Chinese immigrants flocked to Singapore to find jobs that could support their families back in China. With the great influx in numbers of Chinese immigrants, there came a sudden demand for Chinese goods that cannot be found in regular itinerant stores. The Hokkien's community, therefore, took this opportunity to open a Chap He Tiam, which sold anything and everything that customers would demand, ranging from food products to household appliances. To date, these Chap He Tiams continue to be run by the descendants of this pioneer generation, and the shops have been passed down from generation to generation, like a priceless family heirloom. Today, we have come to Lee Mong Lee Provision Shop to learn more about the lives of Mr. Lee Mong Lee, who helps his brother run the shop. The Chap He Tiam in Singapore is very special. It is unlike any mama shop and supermarkets that we see today. In fact, the Hokkien provision shops are the only shops which really caters to the customer's needs and wants wholeheartedly, importing things from overseas just to accommodate to 1 or 2 regulars. This is what makes our 杂货店 so special from other shops, which only sells the products that they display on shelf.
Have to ride bicycle from 6th Avenue right to Princess Street, which is 6 miles away. Yeah. To order daily necessity, to come back to put in a shop to sell.
Besides his flexibility and adaptability when it comes to customer services, Mr. Lim also prides himself in his cheap and affordable price ranges.
If they go to this cold storage to buy this item, Netflix, I can tell you is more expensive than mine. That's why when they come here, they look at my item, they look at the price, and they told me that, oh, my price is very reasonable.
You can find things here that can show you just how affordable the Chap He Diam is, such as this 5 for 20 cents Hudson sweets. Today, the Hokkein provision shops continue to display a startling amount of warmth, trust, and generosity in their business. The Hokkein shopkeepers of the past established a system of paying by credit, where regular customers can enter and leave the provision shops without paying for their purchases. Hokkein shopkeepers will keep a record of their purchases in books such as this, the 555 notebook, which then the people could pay at the end of the month. Mr. Lim today shows us how his close-knit friendships with his regulars allow him to use this ancient practice in current day.
Today is 2nd of March, he took one packet Benson and Hedges, $14.20, which is, trust me, you know.
The Chap He Diam today might not be run predominantly by Hokkien families, but we can proudly say that they have left their little traces of culture and beliefs in the way the provision shop is run. Whether it's a heartwarming hospitality or the cheap and affordable prices, we can undeniably say that the Hokkien community have left a bigger impact on our lives than we think.
Without a smiling face, cannot become a shopkeeper.
Next, we'll be talking about Ge Tai.
Deng Jiajia and Deng Sisi have been performing for over 8 years as Ge Tai singers under the name Shan Liang Jianmei. The twin sisters started Ge Tai at the age of 13 and have now become successful Ge Tai singers under their esteemed mentor, Wang Lei. Today, fans of young and old gather to watch them perform once again for the spirits of the Hungry Ghost Festival. Ge Tai have been around in Singapore for 3 generations, stemming from Chinese opera. However, according to the sisters, this practice was overridden by the more popular and boisterous Ge Tai, which was propagated by the Hokkein community.
Because in Ge Tai, right, because more common and more like common and more like accepted. Because I don't know why lah, most people love Hokkien songs, so that's why we pick up like this language. Yeah.
Today, Ge Tai is featured even in Singapore media, having TV shows such as the Ge Tai Challenge on Channel 8. However, the Hokkien community and the Hokkien language is credited for making Ge Tai popular in Singapore. Without the Hokkiens and their popular songs, Ge Tai would have ceased to exist a long time ago, and we have to thank the Hokkiens for its survival in Singapore. Therefore, the Hokkien culture might seem frivolous at face value, but whether in Ge Tai, provision shop, Chinese New Year or something else, it has actually changed the way in which we live our lives, for the better or for worse. With greater understanding of our roots, we would greatly understand the things that we see and know in our daily lives.